Hello, friends! Welcome to the very first installment of Kreestin Beats the Backlog. The premise is simple. I have way too many games, about 220 of them to be precise. In 2022, my mission is to avoid buying new games as much as possible and knock out some of my backlog entries instead. I'm doing these videos periodically just as a way to keep myself accountable and talk about my thoughts on the games that I'm playing. If you're interested in a breakdown of which games are in my backlog for which systems, and so on and so forth, there are links in the description for that kind of information. In the spirit of talking about the games, let's go ahead and dive right into what I played in January and February. So, technically, the first thing is not fully a backlog entry. I have played plenty of Stardew Valley in the past, but this time I've gone ahead and played the newer DLC that it has. Fair warning that I am going to spoil some of the stuff that's in this DLC, so go ahead and skip to the next chapter if that's not something you want to hear or see. Despite having played the game for hundreds of hours, I've never actually managed to get to year 3 because I love to rush the community center, and then I just kind of run out of things to do and I slowly fall off of it. My goal this time around was to finally make it to year 3 and get my grandpa evaluation. Spoiler alert, still didn't do it, but I had a lot more to do after finishing the community center this time around. Nowadays, when you play, you have the option to repair a ship that's in the back of Willie's shop, and doing so unlocks access to a new area called Ginger Island. Ginger Island is a really cool addition with a couple of new quests and a new character that you can befriend. Plus, it has a volcano to explore. I personally am pretty addicted to the skull caverns and the mines whenever I play Stardew, so I was pleasantly surprised to find the volcano. On the island, you can also collect these golden walnuts and use them to pay off birds around the island, and you'll slowly unlock more and more features like fast travel, a farm, a resort, things like that. I had a really good time collecting the walnuts and unlocking new items on Ginger Island, but I ended up reaching a point where the only ones that I had left to find were based on RNG elements, and I just kind of didn't want to sit around and farm them anymore, so I ended up not collecting all of them, but I did get a good chunk. This also goes for the new fossil hunting you can do there. I got all but one piece of one of the fossils, and I didn't have the will to keep checking for it every day. However, I still found this area to be a really nice breath of fresh air. It was just what I needed to help me keep playing just a little while longer whenever I do get the urge to play Stardew Valley. I also went ahead and did the additional bundle for the first time that unlocks the movie theater, and honestly, I'm pretty lukewarm on that. It's cool, but I think the effort that it takes to unlock versus the payoff is a little imbalanced. I tend to not play Stardew Valley with a heavy focus on the relationships, and this felt like it was a cool feature more so for people that like to play the relationship aspect of the game. Overall, if you have played Stardew Valley but you haven't checked out this DLC, then I'd say it's 100% worth checking out. It was free, it's included. I mean, go ahead. Get to it. What are you waiting for? I personally started a new farm, but you can always pick up from an old one and check it out without having to start from scratch. I'd give this DLC a 4 out of 5 golden walnuts. The next game I checked out from my backlog finally was No Man's Sky, though this one technically deserves an asterisk next to it as well. I did technically play No Man's Sky when it originally launched, but since that's effectively an entirely different game, I'm not counting that. I gave No Man's Sky a try on my Twitch stream, and thank goodness that I did that. I really like the game, but without my Twitch chat helping me out, I feel like I would have been completely dead in the water. I had the misfortune of spawning on a deadly planet full of flame walls, and then I immediately followed that up by landing on a radioactive planet, complete with eggs. Eggs that I would have touched if chat hadn't been there to tell me not to touch the eggs. I did still touch the eggs, but I knew that I was not supposed to, so I save scummed, and it didn't matter, you know? But yeah, without chat, I would have 100% run right up to those eggs and then rage quit. Like, no questions asked, that would have happened. This game definitely gives me a serious case of like, okay, I'll just do one more thing, which makes it very, very addicting when you're actively playing it. Unfortunately, when it came time to play it again, I just got really intimidated by the thought of all the controls that I lost my enthusiasm and I didn't want to boot it back up. I think the game is fun and it's really cool looking, but it seemed like a bit too much of a commitment for me to get into right now. It's extremely possible that because I was streaming, I might have been missing things that it was telling me to do or prompts, but overall, I kind of didn't feel like it did a good job at explaining what you're supposed to do or how you're supposed to do it. It kind of reminded me of in Minecraft back when Alpha launched. You'd just get plopped into the world and you'd have no instructions, no recipes, no anything to help you. And you were just like, what do I do? And you had to rely on the wiki to figure those things out. And I felt like in this case, chat was my wiki. So I know there probably is a wiki as well, but you know, you get the sentiment. enjoyment. Sometimes I do appreciate that kind of game, but ultimately I just wasn't in the mood for that right now. Since I'm apparently deciding to rate things, I guess I would give No Man's Sky 3 out of 5 stars. Next up is an indie puzzle game called The Gardens Between. The Gardens Between is based on a time manipulation mechanic that lets you rewind or fast forward time as you move forwards and backwards, sort of like Braid, but it has a couple of other caveats and mechanics baked in. You play as two children in a mysterious world that consists of islands covered in things from what appear to be their childhood home, or maybe a tree house or something like that. Unfortunately, I was personally pretty let down by this game. It's very short. I beat the whole thing in 2 hours, so if you do decide to try it out, I definitely wouldn't recommend picking it up at its regular $20 price tag. For starters, I found that this game was super sluggish. It just moves so slow. It feels like you're walking through molasses the whole time. A lot of the times I felt like the puzzles weren't actually that hard to figure out. They just required so much backtracking or just waiting for a cycle. And your character just moves at a snail's pace. It's maddening. There's no option to speed up your movement. And I don't know why in this day and age, a game would not have the option to just walk just a little faster. That's all it needed, I think. On top of that, the story, unfortunately, did not really land for me. The whole time I was wondering if these kids were siblings, maybe like young people in love, maybe we have a Cory and Topanga situation going on. I didn't know what their deal was. I won't spoil what the end result was, but it's revealed at the very end, and it's treated like it's supposed to be a very huge gut punch, and it just didn't resonate with me as much as it felt like the game really wanted it to. It felt like to me this game was trying to be an emotional game, and for me, that didn't land. I'd give this one a 2 out of 5. It's definitely not terrible. It has some redeeming qualities. It looks great. I love the art style, but it just wasn't worth the price tag for me. It's just not for me. After spending so much time in Stardew Valley, I had the farming sim itch, so I decided to scratch it with a game that's been in my library for what feels like a million years, My Time at Portia. People have recommended this game to me for forever, but I've always been really put off by the graphics, so I couldn't bring myself to try it. I finally gave it a shot, and my groundbreaking review is... it's fine. It's okay. It's an alright game, I guess. I clocked in about 9 hours to Portia, which, by the way, the characters in the game say both as Portia and Portia, so I don't know how the hell you're supposed to say it. Doesn't seem like the game knows how you're supposed to say it. Maybe that's a joke that I'm not in on, but, say it however you feel like. Whatever rolls off the tongue. So those 9 hours that I spent were all within like a day and a half. I got super hooked in that time period, and then all of a sudden, I just didn't want to play it anymore. Like, at all. I had no urge, no will to launch this game anymore. I've been thinking a lot about why I stopped, and I think it really has to do with the art style. I really hate it. And I'm sorry to anybody who likes it, or if by some miracle somebody who happened to have worked on the game is listening to this, I'm very sorry. But it's just like offensive to me. I hate the way they look. I think the characters are creepy and gross looking, and because of that, I never wanted to talk to any of them, and that made me not want to work on the relationship side of the game at all. So instead, I was just like grinding for materials and not interacting with anybody. There's also not really an easy way to farm, at least not in the early game. You have to build planters to then plant things in, and then they just kind of grow on their own without any intervention, and one day you harvest them. The game is a lot more focused on resource gathering and crafting than it is on farming, which to its credit, I do think it does in a pretty fun way. There's a mine in the game, and that's easily where I had the most fun. It actually kind of reminded me of No Man's Sky in the sense that you'd be there just to get one thing, and you'd see another marker just like a little off in the distance, and you're like, okay, well, I mean, that's right there. I'm right here. I might as well. And then all of a sudden you've wasted your entire in-game day in the mine, just picking up more and more things that you don't need. It really felt like this game is just more grindy than the other Sims that it's often lumped in with, like Stardew Valley or Harvest Moon. I think if I wasn't put off by the art style, I would have put more time into it, but unfortunately, I'm apparently super shallow, and I just could not get past the style for this one. 2.5 stars out of 5 for My Time at Portia. Maybe 2.75 stars for My Time at Portia. Finally, the last game that squeaked by just at the end of February was Resident Evil 3. For context, I'm still a relative noob to the Resident Evil franchise, having only played the remake of 2, Biohazard, and Village, all of which I did love. I will say up front that I waited to get this game when it was on sale, and I'm very glad that I did. I streamed this game as well, and it only took me about 6 hours to complete. Don't get me wrong, I really liked it, but a 6 hour game should under no circumstances be $40. That's I just think that that's obscene. That's an obscene price for a 6 hour game. Highway robbery, I say. So if you do get it, definitely get it on sale. Resident Evil 3's engine and UI is the same as the remake of 2, so if you liked that, you'll probably like this. The storylines also overlap a bit, which I thought was super cool. Maybe it's kind of like a lizard brain moment for me, but I was really excited whenever I came across things that I recognized from 2. Even though I only played that game a couple of years ago, it completely worked on me. I was very excited about that. I will say, I also actually found that the Nemesis sections were, for me, more stressful than Mr. X. I thought that Nemesis was way scarier because he can get into places that I didn't expect him to be able to, and he just was like deadlier. He would dash in front of you when you were running away and you'd have to scramble and turn around. He had weapons, and also Nemesis doesn't wear a silly hat, so way more intimidating, I'd say. Other than that, there's not much to really say about this game. It's a Resident Evil game, so it's short, it's pretty good looking, and it's fun. It's not breaking any new ground, but it is a solid game. I'd give it a 3.5 out of 5 stars, with the stipulation that you pay no more than $25 for it. That just about does it for the wrap-up of my January and February backlog progress. I knocked out 4 games and a DLC, so I'd say that's some decent headway. I also wanted to give a little update on non-backlog games. So as far as those go, I finished up playing Pokemon Shining Pearl, which was fun, but just way too easy. It's actually the first Pokemon game I've finished in several generations, so I did have a fun time with it, but it's super easy to overlevel by exploring the underground, which made me unintentionally steamroll my way through it. I also picked up OlliOlli World, which is a skateboarding action platformer. This game is really, really fun. I like it a lot, but the completionist in me is getting very hung up on the bonus missions, so I've been working through it at a pretty slow pace. Right now I'm also playing Pokemon Legends Arceus. I'm only a short way through it, and as it stands I'm only a short way through it, and as it stands right now, I have mixed feelings on it. There's some things I really like and some things that are kind of irksome, so I'll have to get back to you on my opinions on this game once I'm a little further along. Thanks for sticking it out and listening to me ramble about my video game opinions. The tricky thing about clearing out your backlog is that it's really hard to find discussions about games that came out years ago, so I appreciate you checking this out, and if you do want to talk about any of these games that I've discussed, please feel free to hit me up on Twitter, Discord, comment section, Twitch, wherever you can find me. I love talking about games, and I really want to know what you think, so feel free to reach out and let me know your thoughts. Until next time, this is Kreestin, and I hope to catch you on my next Twitch livestream or whenever I make the next video. See ya!